Action and adventure TV shows channel from Comedy MX spotlights Tarzan, Rin Tin Tin, Zorro, complete Saturday matinee serials Captain Zero, Annie Oakley, The Big Picture, Korea and Vietnam Wars, and more. The thrills and chills never stop at Comedy MX. So return with us now to those golden days of yesteryear.
And now, stand by for adventure.
3, 2, 1.
In the exciting story of building an island base. Once Colonel Bleep and his friends were back on 00 Island, little Squeak could wait no longer to build a home. In fact, Squeak had already drawn a sketch of the kind of house he dreamed of, with picket fence and a garden for flowers and vegetables. But how can you build a house without the tools of the carpenter's trade? You know, a carpenter is an expert in the use of hammers and saws and planes and chisels. But Squeak and Scratch had no tools. However, they did have Colonel Bleep, who brought with him from outer space Futonic energy. The power of the future, stronger even than atomic energy. And so, Bleep threw the F-energizer switch. And suddenly there was a beautiful little house for Squeak with a huge cave underneath for Scratch. And completely covering the entire island was a gigantic plastic-like dome to protect them from bad weather and insects, and which would also serve as a giant laboratory for Bleep's experiments and research. But Squeak and Scratch could not linger long in their house and cave because Colonel Bleep reminded them it was travel time again, this time to see the Belgian Congo. Here we go! Looking down on the continent of Africa from high in the sky, Bleep, Squeak, and Scratch see that the Belgian Congo looks something like an ivy leaf. The stem touches the Atlantic Ocean on the west, and the central vein of the leaf is formed by the Congo River, which curves some 3,000 miles into the interior and is the only river in the world that crosses the equator twice. The capital city of Leopoldville is a modern, busy river port. Half of the Belgian Congo is covered by dense equatorial jungle, with a temperature in the 80s almost every day of the year. If Bleep and his friends were to crash in this land, they would find jungles that are almost useless to man. Few tropical fruits grow here, and in fact, until recently, the natives lived almost entirely on game they snared or shot with bow and arrow. Today, civilization is moving into the Congo, and the wild animals, antelope, zebra, rhinoceros, hippopotamus, and gorilla are slowly disappearing except in the game reserves, and the natives are being taught modern farming methods. The Belgian Congo was first opened to Europeans by Henry Morton Stanley, the American newspaper man. The same Mr. Stanley who said, "Dr. Livingston, I presume." To most people, the Belgian Congo would not be considered a very pleasant place to live, but it is an interesting place for Bleep, Squeak, and Scratch to visit. And now, stand by for adventure.
3, 2, 1.
In the exciting story of danger below.
in space, on a tiny ocean-covered planet, lies the lily-pad kingdom of Aqualand. Here, in this beautiful watery world, live the friendly frogmen, curious inhabitants of this curious land. And far below, in the hidden coves of the ocean floor, these little fellows gather the most priceless gems of the galaxies. For only here, in the secret treasure beds of the frogmen, can be found the precious, giant pearls of Aqualand. But no longer is the secret of these rich pearl beds known only to the frogmen. For suddenly, a monstrous shadow looms into view. In sheer terror, the frogmen flee, for this is Octo the Terrible, the blackest, meanest octopus in the sea. Helplessly, the divers watch as this wicked creature carries off load after load of their precious pearls. And so it is that Colonel Bleep, Squeak, and Scratch streak to the aid of the frogmen, arriving just in time to see the thieving culprit scurry off with the last of the gleaming gems. Following closely, the spaceman and his deputies watch amazed as the monster pours the stolen treasure into the hatch of a waiting submarine. Through a porthole of the sub stare the greedy eyes of Doctor Destructo, the mastermind behind this wicked scheme. Little Squeak tosses his lasso with perfect aim and quickly ropes the terrible Octo out of action. But the evil Destructo has already zeroed in on Colonel Bleep. Fire! One! With a mighty roar, a giant torpedo thunders straight for the Colonel. Too late! The spaceman learns his water-soaked Futonic energy supply is useless now. Is this the end for Colonel Bleep? How can he possibly escape this terrible fate? But wait! With a mighty leap, Scratch lands astride the deadly missile. In the nick of time, he pulls the rudder, missing the spaceman by only inches. Destructo, now in full retreat, crashes to the surface. But there is no escape. Now dead on his target, Scratch leaps to safety. Not one trace of Destructo's submarine remains. Not one clue to the Doctor's fate. Only the gleaming pearls could be seen as they settled back once more to the treasure beds of Aqualand. The frogmen gave 3 rousing cheers. For they had witnessed proof, indeed, that a man's evil deeds, like a boomerang, have a way of coming back to him.